Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we have something very interesting to discuss, and that is this, which was posted by a Careless Whisper, which, as you can see, is a verified Riot dev. And so this is the post. Yes, hi, hello, let's chat about LOL stuff. My team is starting work on the January balance patch, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for y'all to share your thoughts and opinions on what you'd love to see change. General guidelines, numbers or tuning are ideal. All ideas are welcome. The why of a change is important as the change itself. They'll read everything. Stuff you've posted at length about are on my radar. Looking at Sundisk, text bugs. Definitely feel free to post about it more, but wanted to make sure that it was called out. Yes, very interesting in general. This whole idea is just interesting, as I'm sure most of you will agree that Riot is just, taking straight feedback from the community about what cards they want changed, which is an interesting way of going about things. The famous Mark Rosewater Magic the Gathering speech thing that he did about card design some time ago now, where he talked about people are good at understanding, the problems, but maybe not the solutions. This I have no problem with. Of course, I think this is a very interesting approach. I'm sure most of you agree to, especially on Reddit. Some of these things, might be a little extreme. I didn't go through all of them. Some of the top suggestions are actually quite cool. Like this one about Tattered Banner, gives challenger to something that already has challenger if you summon something that has challenger, like Quinn. This person suggested, why not just, have it so it doesn't do that and gives challenger to something else instead, which is a good idea. I didn't even know that was a thing. It makes sense that it's a thing, but I didn't even know that. And that's a good change. That's a change that makes sense and would feel better to use and is a good idea. And, wouldn't take much to change. So there are some good ideas in this thread, as you can see, and the ones, this is a great suggestion. So this is like something that we could see change. So Professor Dr. West might have just, made their own change to the game. So small things like this, I think they would just, if it's a good idea like this one, where it's something small, they will just go, okay, yeah, I can, we could do that. Because it's not going to change the game much. This is one that people always talk about as well, like having Behold on cards. They want to change all the cards to say Behold. They want to use as little text as possible. It's like, I don't really know if that is the right thing, because there could always be a Behold synergy later on. Like, you don't know whether there is, and Behold, oftentimes with these keywords, they put them in regions, rather than just put them on every card that it might apply to. So I'm not actually sure that they will do that, because I think, they always want to keep something open. Maybe they want a Behold synergy card to come out one day, and they don't want every card that could have Behold on it have Behold. So there's things like this that people do, that they just want that. But I think overall very interesting, and maybe we can talk about Sundisk getting buffed as well. That would be very interesting also, because Sundisk as a whole, obviously, is a deck that a lot of people enjoy. I would say I enjoy playing Sundisk as well. But not a lot of people, win with because it isn't good. And so, how would you change Sundisk? Maybe we can expect a Sundisk change. Quite interesting, because how would you change it? You could obviously, I've heard people say, make it 0 mana, or make it just summon itself straight up. I did have to go and check the actual card Sundisk, because I got a bit worried, because I know that those are the most common suggestions, but thankfully they were ahead of me here, because I thought, if it was 0 mana, or if it was, just summon straight away the Sundisk, I was a bit worried that, like, you could just play 3 Sundisk in a deck, and they would all summon themselves. And to be honest, maybe that would be the case if they worded it wrongly. But like, say you could put 3 Sundisk in your deck, and it would summon 3 of them, and all of a sudden you got 3 landmarks. You might think, why is that a problem? Well, maybe you're not playing it for Sundisk. You're playing, Talia, and you've already got 3 out of 5 landmarks. Or you're playing Zerath or Ziggs, and, that's 3 landmarks for you to just freely destroy. Things like that. But thankfully they were ahead of me. I actually got quite worried, but I actually thought that would be quite cool, to be honest. Like a cool niche deck where, you run 3 Sun Disc. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. But it does say draw 1, so I assume they would, keep that, or if it was, change to a summon effect straight away, it would say summon 1, something like that. So yeah, they thankfully were ahead of me on that, but I kind of think that that's a cool idea, and maybe do it. Maybe just do it, because it's cool. But, leveling up Talia for pretty much free at the start of a game, might be a bit much. But then this was the response after, the kind of whole thing. Seeing a couple common threads, I wanted a blanket response. Poppy, Lecturing, Yordle, Mare are all on our radar. We agree that Yordle's together strong. Like these three, obviously, I think everyone, literally everyone could tell that these were pretty big problems. Maybe not Lecturing Yordle, like for the last patch, but I was shocked that Poppy and Mare weren't nerfed in the last patch. It seemed like such an obvious thing to do, as I've said multiple times, and that's why I think, we ended up with a bounce patch that wasn't that good, which, I'm finally getting vindication from people on, that disagreed with me heavily when I first mentioned that the patch wasn't that good, and now everyone seems to be like, oh yeah, the patch wasn't that good, because guess what, the same card's dominating, because Poppy, Mare, and also Scion, Scion also, obviously the Draven got nerfed pretty heavily, but Scion, again, I thought was pretty obvious, that they could have just made his level up just like a bit harder, just to see what happened. It didn't have to be anything massive, just put it up a bit, his level up, and that would have been fine as well. And I think between those three, obviously Scion isn't as big of a problem as maybe it was before, but still, I thought that they were very obvious changes that they could have made. And it was very disappointing that they haven't, but at least we have sort of confirmation, if you will, that, these cards, or these archetypes at least, should be getting changed in the next balance patch. The only problem is, of course, that balance patch is coming in January, which, of course, is a very long way away. Although I could maybe see when the next batch of cards come out, which will be in December, I could maybe see them nerfing Poppy. Just as kind of a one-off, like, this card is too good, let's nerf it now. I wouldn't be shocked if that did happen, and that's kind of, maybe I'm hoping that will happen. Maybe that's a bit of hopium from me, but I could see that happening to Poppy. But yeah, Scion also on the radar. Minimorph unlikely to change, especially at speed. This one blew my mind. I don't understand this at all. I don't know why they think that. I honestly have no idea, because again, it's not about the strength of the card. The strength of the card does not matter, right? And even though we've kind of seen less and less Minimorph, as I think people have figured out that the card isn't as strong, perhaps as some people initially thought it was. People, I think, thought that it was like the best card in the game, whereas really it's kind of like more of a specific removal tool that's very good against certain things, and is bad against other things. And so, yeah, Minimorph, I don't know why they won't change it, because it just feels bad to play against, to be honest. And, I've heard the arguments of like, oh, you can't change it to speed because then you can't, react with your combat trick to save your mini-minity. No one wants to save their mini-minity, okay? Like, the chances of you wanting to save it are so low that it doesn't matter. Let it be denied. Change its speed. It would just make everything a lot better. That's my personal opinion. Anyway, buffing other removal is on the radar, though, and this one I was like, ooh. Buffing other removal, like, what removal do we think could be buffed? Because, you don't want to go... Yeah, I don't know, I'm a bit scared about this, like, for instance, you make kind of Avalanche deal 3 to all units, that's just crazy. You can't do something like that. Buffing removal is quite, like, a lot of the removal cards are okay. Like, like Thermal Beam and Mystic Shots, you can't really change those too much. Maybe there are some cards like Gotcha, but again, I feel like, changing them to, maybe making them do an extra damage is the way you have to do it. Maybe I'm thinking too extreme where it's like a mana change. I think it does have to probably be like, just one extra damage on some of these cards. Maybe something like Grasp of the Undying goes to, drain 4, and make that, a strong card. Something like that, I think I could see. But it's quite I'm interested to see what removal they will buff, because it does feel like, you can't go too extreme with it. Otherwise, that card will just become crazy. We'll have to see what it is, but I'm quite excited to see what exactly it is because, quite a few of the removal spells, like I mentioned, Thermal Beam, Mystic Shot, Vile Feast, Pokey Stick, Make It Rain, all of those spells you would say are, some of the best in the game. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do, but I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to know. And what removal spells would you change? Because I'm sure, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some that it's like, oh yeah, that definitely could change and they could make that better. I'm sure there's some in like Bilgewater, probably some more in Shadow Isles as well that could probably use with like a bit of a buff just to bring them up to speed. But I thought this whole thing was just very interesting, and I thought I'd make it aware of it if you aren't on Reddit or Twitter or keeping up with the things too much. And I want to know, you know, I want your thoughts about my video reacting to a post called "I Want Your Thoughts." So that is my final comment of the day. And with that said, thank you so much for watching and have a really nice day.